legislation to prohibit the creation of human-animal chimeras and patentable forms of new humanity. Now, during his administration, they kept some restrictions on how these the stem cell lines could be used and how funding could flow into human-animal chimera research. As soon as Obama was elected, he used executive power and he lifted those restrictions. But even then, even when you're not talking about tax dollars, federal funds being used, private resources, private funds have been funding this research here in the U.S. and all over the world. Well, now these scientists out of Britain that are part of the embryology discussion over there, they, according to this Reuters News article, the name of the article is "Scientists Want Debate on Animals with Human Genes." These scientists are back now, and they want to know how much further now they can go with public funds. Would the public be willing to let them grow these creatures to full maturity, like that creature in the movie Splice, and then be able to do research on it? And they state in the article, the Reuters article, that they are comfortable now with 50-50 human-animal integration, and they infer that some of their colleagues, these Dr. Moreau wannabes, are already raising these things to full maturity, and they're doing experiments on them.
And there's been flicks on YouTube about the Plum Island monster that they found. They can't identify what it is. Got claws, and they've also found some human types like this.
Well, you might even, I thought it was interesting during the recent general election. Some of this material was in the news. You might recall how Delaware Republican Senate nominee Christine O'Donnell, she took some heat for saying on the O'Reilly factor that American scientists are crossbreeding humans and animals and producing mice with fully functioning human brains. Well, guess what? She actually misquoted some material from a lecture that I had given concerning Irv Wiseman, how here in the United States, Irv Wiseman, the director of Stanford University's Institute of Cancer and Stem Cell Biology and Medicine in California, he created mice with partly human brains, which then caused some ethicists like my friend Wesley Smith to raise the issue of humanized animals in the future that might become self-aware as a result of genetic modification. In other words, you create a mice with a fully functioning human brain, what's to keep that mouse from starting to ask philosophical questions? Who am I? Where did I come from? Is there a God? And what Wesley Smith was trying to do was illustrate how insane the the ethical questions are around this research. Well, in my lecture on this, I had talked about what Irv Wiseman had done. In fact, I still have the press releases from Stanford University discussing it. But since then, Stanford University has given Irv Wiseman permission to create mice with 100% human brains. And I said that in the lecture. I also said in the lecture he hasn't done it yet, but he has permission to. Now, whether he will or not, I don't know. Well, O'Donnell got all goofed up on the fashion and went on O'Reilly saying that they already had done it, and unfortunately that brought some criticism against her that she didn't know what she was talking about. And then so you had ABC News and CNN, and they were actually going back to the information that I had talked about. They were saying that he created mice with partly human brains, not fully functioning human brains. It became a big deal. You know what, though? The whole thing's a smokescreen. The point is, the science is there. The science is being done. It's being done all over the world, and it's being sold under the idea of improved pharmaceuticals.
The what you've just been describing there, it pulls a kind of a vision of the Bible and the Garden of Eden. Now, why wouldn't God want His creations, man, to know good from evil? It's like, well, we bred these things to be slaves. And if they know good from evil, then they might be able to make a conscious decision. They might become self-aware. And I'm kind of the opinion that our religions are put there for control over us, rather than be necessarily based all in fact. But it is interesting to me that for 2,000 years the Bible has been predicting the mark of the beast, and today we got commercials for the RFID chips. HealthLink, you know, George used to forget his medication, but now he's got HealthLink. Uh, so what about the connections in the Bible and what's happening now?
Yeah, well, there is a strong biblical connection. The mark of the beast might be part of it, and you know, some of the newest implantable chips that they're experimenting with also employ biology. In other words, these are living chips. And I talked to molecular biologists. In fact, she would be a fantastic interview for you sometime. Sharon Gilbert. She has degrees in molecular biology. She also believes in prophecy and biblical issues. And I asked her if my wife had this idea that, you know, what if the governments of the world or the U.S., what if they concocted like a fake pandemic? They created some kind of a viral situation that they released into the public. And let's say this thing was just horrific. I mean, from the time you're exposed to it, 10 days later, you're dead. And within a very short period of time, a cry goes up for some kind of cure. And then the government steps forward and says, okay, we have the cure to this, you know, this H1N1, this pig virus or whatever it is. We've created a vaccine, and the vaccine is a blend of human and animal genetics. And it's going to be in a biochip. So you get this biochip, and the biochip is going to cure you of this disease, but the problem is that the biochip goes through your system like a retrovirus. It literally starts rewriting your genetics until you are no longer entirely human. In other words, to cure you of a crossover strain of animal and human, some viral situation, they've got to create something that alters your genetics. Well, anyway, I asked...
Tom, I mean, I think they've already done that. I mean, have you been into Walmart lately?
What do you mean?
I mean, the people there don't look human. You know, they look like a cross between pigs and people. You know, you can go into, if you go into the nearby Walgreens, they're offering you the N1 flu shots right now, and who knows what's in that, whether it's good for you or not.
And so anyway, in any case, she said absolutely yes, that is the way that a mark of the beast situation could be introduced. But there's another connection, I think, to transhumanism and the genetic sciences. And it's very interesting because how I made this connection, years ago, this was maybe 15 years ago, I was writing an article for the largest newspaper in the state of Oklahoma, and it was on the history of Halloween, so it doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about, but it was during the research of that article that somewhere I came across the word transgenics. Now, I didn't even know what that term meant, but I could kind of get it. Trans genes, I mean, somehow here we were talking about genetic manipulation. And so I started trying to do research into what transgenics was, and what were the sciences hoping to do? What would be the pro and the con? What would be the good or the danger? And because the science was so new, and we essentially were riding the bicycle while we built it, right? The science was so new, there wasn't any peer-reviewed information that I could find. It was very little was being said in any of the science magazines. But what I kept coming across when I kept doing this research into, you know, mixing human and animal DNA, what I kept coming across was an ancient story, a story of when the gods came down to the earth. These are known in the Bible as the Watchers. They were known in the first book of Enoch as the Watchers, fallen angels, that came down in the days of Jared. And what did they do? They blended human and animal genetics, and they created this bizarre body into which they could extend themselves. It became known in the Bible as the Nephilim, the giants. And even the Bible says that the flood came as a result of, quote, all flesh, both man and beast, having been corrupted. In fact, there's an ancient book of Jasher. It's not in the Bible, but it is mentioned 2 different times in the Old Testament. And I think it has the most clear account of ancient biotechnology as a result of what these watchers were doing, in that it says in Jasher 4:18, It says that after the angels revealed the secrets of heaven to mankind,